Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Office Hours. I am your host, Sunil Gupta, and we are going to be joined soon by Jessica Simpson. She should be joining us any moment now. She's invited, and we're just going to double check that right now and just make sure. And she's on her way. For those of you who are just joining us for Office Hours, this is a chance for entrepreneurs and experts like Jessica to come onto the show and answer your questions about really what's happening in this changing world of work. And as Jessica is about to join us now, I'll give her the introduction that she does not need. She is a singer-songwriter. She is an actress. She is a #1 New York Times bestseller. And she is a hugely successful entrepreneur. And she's here to talk to us about all the things that she has sort of been through in her career and in building her business. So we have a lot of exciting things to talk about. I'm going to double check here one more time that she is on her way, and we will be off. She's invited to the stream, and she's joining us now. Here she is.
I really had to figure that out. This is my first Instagram Live, and I was like, I'm so confused right now.
Hey, Jessica.
I am. Hi.
There she is. All right. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. It feels good.
Yeah, where are you right now?
I'm in Los Angeles. I'm at home. So, well, my baby's at school. So I was gonna say, if you hear a toddler running back and forth, that's Birdie. She's loud.
I have two running in the background, and we're Ace and Maxwell. Are they around too?
Maxwell had a birthday party last night, a slumber party, and then I have no idea what Ace is up to today. Probably hitting golf balls with Dad.
All right, I love it.
They're definitely enjoying their summer. We just got back from Austin. We went for the 4th, we went to Austin because my family lives like an hour outside of Austin. So we got a lake house, and I got to show them like the good Texas lake experience. And we had so much fun. Like, we definitely were sad to come back, but I mean, we missed our dog. But as a family, we loved being on the lake, and the house was amazing. And, you know, I had to show them some of the Texas pride that I have.
Well, and your birthday is coming up day after tomorrow.
Oh, I know.
So this is a big week.
I keep thinking I'm already 42, so at least I'm turning 42 because everybody asks me my age and I say 42, so it's good. But
42 is a good number. It's a good number to throw out. I feel like after 42.
It feels like, oh, I don't know. Everybody's like, all things are better in your 40s, and I turned 40 like during lockdown, so it was kind of like like we didn't really do anything. And then last year I didn't do anything, and this year I'm not much of a birthday person like I am for other people, but for myself, I never know what I want to do. I never know what I want. Like, I don't know. I get shy with the attention, maybe. Like when people sing happy birthday to me, like I get nervous. I think by now I'm used to the attention, but.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, I think that people would find that sort of strange that you would be, well, I guess you're not the one singing in that case. They're singing to you. Yeah,
they're singing to me. So, I just get shy. Like even opening gifts, I get shy. Like, I hope I have a good reaction,
Yeah.
Or like, should I open this like later, like in private?
Well, we are being joined by many people now who are interested in all aspects of your life. And one of the things I was hoping we could do is maybe even just go back to 2005. You are, in 2005, a successful singer. You are a successful actress. And, you decide that you want to start a business. And I'd love for you to just take us back to that moment and that decision. Why did you decide to become an entrepreneur?
Well, in 2005 was a major life change for me. I mean, it started with a big personal decision of divorce. So it was like breaking off from a piece of me that was a work thing because of a TV show and always being on tour, but it was also like you know, like for me, it was personal growth. I was coming into my own as a woman. And I feel like with, you know, Dukes of Hazzard and the success of that, and like really channeling like Daisy, I learned a lot about myself through being Daisy Duke, like just a lot of like personal power and just like what I should be like as a woman, like, and I just learned a lot like playing that role, to have my own opinions and how those matter. And you know, I'd never acted before, so like making those choices, you know, in front of a lens with somebody like Willie Nelson was magic for me. And the choices, even though I got nominated for a Razzie Worst Actress of the Year, the movie was a #1, you know, box office, and it launched me into a whole other category as far as branding goes. Everybody was very intrigued by Daisy Dukes and the shorts and the cowboy boots, and I'd perform on the Today Show with it. And I'm like, we should be doing this. Like, I feel like we should have, like, be offering everybody, you know, everybody should have a pair of cowboy boots and Daisy Dukes. And there's always, like, because it's like there's a comfort in style that I really wanted people to have. And right before that, I had written a song called With You, and that was the first song I had that went number one. Well, I Wanna Love You Forever went #1 radio, but like it went #1 on Billboard, and it was the first song I wrote. So, and I'm talking about how I feel beautiful with nothing but a t-shirt on. And I'm like, I think because people have sat with me on the couch and been watching me in my normal everyday life, like they don't like it's nice to be glamorous, but it's also good to see what's behind the glamour. And if you can make a t-shirt glamorous, you know, that's really just who I am, the DNA of fashion for me. And so when we decided to do the Jessica Simpson collection, I mean, I would be everywhere I would go. People would be in the Juicy Couture like jumpsuits, or have the speedy bag white Louis Vuitton, or a Shaw, like things from the Newlyweds, and that I would just wear like randomly. I wasn't styled or anything like that. I had no makeup on, nothing. Like, so I was like, wow, people are really liking just me for myself. And how cool would that be to have a brand like that is like that? Because I mean, people were doing celebrity brands, but it was normally like collabs. So we didn't know if it would work or not. But when we met Vince Muto, who wanted to do a shoe license and some accessories, it was just a perfect match. And his son actually was the one who was like, Dad, you should sign this girl. And he was right.
There are so many questions coming in, and that's a reminder to everybody, just post questions for Jessica in the comments. We'll do our best to bring them into the conversation. We have some coming in right now. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, Jessica, is that you are now the owner of the Jessica Simpson lifestyle collection, and the company is unprecedented. It's hit over $1 billion in sales, and you've built this thing into a massive, massive thing. But back in the day, when you first started sharing the idea of, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to be a business owner, you started sharing that with other people, what was the reaction that you were getting?
You're blonde, you know, you're ditzy, you're 25. Definitely people, they understood it because celebrities were the faces of things. Like, it really worked with me, and proactive. Like, I was hanging out with you in the middle of the night on an infomercial, you know, like it really works when I'm just myself. And I feel like when we started to design things, you know, people were like, no, that's too high of a heel. People don't wear that. And I'm like, but they should. Like, it's fun, you know, like I want to put pieces out there, yes, that I know will sell, but I also want to help people out and say, this would actually be styled great with this, you know, this is how you can wear it. But I think being on tour for me, like, was really where I got inspiration, because it's like, okay, what's everybody's best dress to go to a concert to impress a boy band, or to impress, you know, somebody on TRL Live, or like, you know, I'm definitely observant, and I would look out into the crowds and I would notice people's style. And I was in every state, like on tour all the time. And so I really understood the customer. So even if the fashion world, it's like, no, you can't have a Vogue cover. You're a reality star. We don't do that. No, you know, like people did not believe me because I made a comment about tuna and chicken, you know, so, or buffalo wings. You know, like I just am always myself, and sometimes people believe in that or they don't. But most of the time, I feel like if you're focusing on like who your audience is, those people are the ones that relate to you. We all say things. I mean, I never think before I speak, and that is, you know, it's gotten me far in life, but it's also labeled me for sure. But, you know, I mean, people really, they didn't know how, I didn't know that it would be what it is today, that we'd still be going so strong, and that I'd one day be able to own it all. I was so used to just being with a record label and them telling me what to do, how to be, what to sing. It wasn't until I started writing my music that I was like, that's where it's successful. Okay, we win. We win when we're authentic to who we are. And if we believe in that power and have confidence in that power, of just ourselves, and like our intuitive like spirits, like if you really get to know yourself, and I did at a young age from journaling, like I just know my voice, and I know those voices in my mind. And even as much negativity that can definitely flood in and make you insecure, of course, but I just feel like purpose outrides insecurity. And no matter what, like purpose is, for me, there's so much purpose in everything that I do. And that's always been important, no matter what people say. So yes, people have slammed doors in my face. They've said I'm too dumb, like, you know, what's her IQ, you know, stuff like that. But, you know, it's just shoes, guys.
It's funny, in our conversations, we talked yesterday, and I wrote down so many things. I'm already writing down things right now. Purpose overrides insecurity. We're getting so many comments here and questions. I do want to ask you really quickly before we get into some of the audience's questions about this idea of being underestimated. Because, you know, that is, I read your book, which is wonderful, by the way. I listened to you speak, and underestimated is one of those keywords that continues to come up over and over again. And you have a really unique take on it, which is that being underestimated could actually be a superpower. Tell us more about that.
I believe that, no doubt. I'm glad that I've been underestimated my entire career and life. Even in junior high and high school, like I was always like, you know, I have personal expectations of myself, and I honestly like can just block off everybody else's expectations. Although I am a people pleaser, I always have to like keep in mind what that, like how much of that integrity is going to be taken from me if I'm out to just please everybody, you know? But yeah, I mean, I feel like I've always known that success is actually easy. You set small goals. Like I've always set small goals in my life. It's never been about like a huge, you know, at the end of my life, on my deathbed, I want all this to have happened. That's too much pressure, you know, and there's beauty in making small goals, because once you achieve them, you gain more confidence, and your next goal can be that much more, you know, bigger. And but it's the little ones, it's those small accomplishments that give you, you know, value, and like within yourself. And people that judge you along the way, it's just because they're afraid to be themselves. And you can't be a leader if you're afraid to be yourself. You can't be a business owner if you're afraid to be authentic. You have to, like, I mean, fear has to be set aside, because what you were born to do, if you listen to yourself, you will do. And it takes time. Like, it's taken a long time for me to own Jessica Simpson collection. Now that I have the power to own that, there's so many things that it's almost overwhelming, but it's exciting. It's like there's so many things that we want to do that we feel like there's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah. Speaking of that, is there a small?
I want to entertain too. Like, okay, I can do a TV show, and I can put the collection within the TV show, and then we can, join forces with Wayfair, and we can sell the furniture. Like, we're always marketing, like, in our minds. My mom and I, my mom, who helps me run the collection, she's really my boss. I mean, I'm kind of her boss on paper, but my mom's always my boss.
My mom's my boss too. What's an example of a small goal? Like, if we want to go out there and start setting small goals for ourselves, what do we need to keep in mind?
A small goal. Okay. Well, oh gosh, I think of entertainment. Hold on. A small goal what would a small goal for me be?
Or can you share a small goal you have going on right now for you in your life?
Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it, because it always goes back to entertainment, but crap. Oh gosh, a small goal. Okay. Let me think. Okay, so small goal for me. I'm turning 42. I wanted to really focus on my health. I wanted to go to a nutritionist. I wanted to understand my hormones, like stuff like that. It wasn't about, for me, like, I wanted to feel like I was in really good shape, and like I could be caught by paparazzi at any moment. Oh, Penny. Sorry. Penny, stop. Oh, Lord. Penny, nuh-uh. Okay. Penny Lane. No.
The dog agrees.
I know. My dog agrees. No. So I wanted just to feel good, and I wanted to do it in a healthy way. I didn't want to do crash diets. I didn't want to do anything like that, but I wanted to feel good at 42. So about 4 months ago, I started with a nutritionist, and it wasn't a weight goal, per se. It was just how I feel. So I made that decision to, like, really focus on making sure that I was aligned, and I do feel good on my skin. And we went to Austin, and I was in a bikini, and I was, with my kids on the lake, and I wasn't beating myself up, and I wanted to feel comfortable in my skin. And the only way I could do that was if I did it a healthy way. And so I want others to do that as well. So in our brand, we're going into health and wellness, because everybody's always asking me, what's your workout routine? What vitamins do you take for this? Or, and so, like, that is so important to me. Like, mental health, absolutely. And that's what Open Book was for. And it was really to let you in on who I am and who I, like, always have been growing up, the challenges I've faced, the pain that I've gone through, but like the rain that's so beautiful when there's a rainbow, it's like, there's in Open Book, you can see all the stories of my life woven to make me where I'm at, right now. And I feel like, with this next chapter in my life, you're going to see a lot of stuff like on TV and a lot of stuff within the brand, but health and wellness, we're definitely going to be focusing on. And that's really exciting for us, because I want people to it's not about looking great. I want people to feel great. I want people to love themselves. I want people to have, that confidence to go out there and do things that they know that they want to do, but, they think that they're not good enough for, you know, like I just think we have those voices in our head that we have to just ignore. No, actually, those voices make us stronger, you know. But if we can differentiate them, you know, I mean, mental health and like I feel like that was open book, and then health and wellness. Like I feel like that's a small goal. I mean, it's a big, broad goal, but also
you have small goals in between. It also relates to a question.
I have like my son's like, why don't you make clothes for me? You know,
right.
So so it's like, okay, within the brand, let's do some dry fit shirts. Let's do boys. You know, and my husband's so picky about his jeans and t-shirts, and they're just jeans and t-shirts, and I'm like, okay, we can do that. Let's do men's and boys. So we're doing that, and I just like redecorated my house, and I just keep everything like whatever I'm going through in life, I kind of just incorporate the brand within it. So I have a Pinterest board full of furniture and all these different ideas, from outdoor furniture, indoor furniture, different types of style, but a lot of eclectic stuff that people wouldn't think would go great in their house, but it will. And it's just it's more fun. It just doesn't look like everything else that's out there, because things get oversaturated, and you have to like stay ahead of the curve and think outside of the box, but also cater to those that like being inside of it.
Yeah, we had a question come in, which is, what do you tell people who think being feminine is weak?
Wait, what?
The question is, what do you tell people who think being feminine is weak?
Oh, being feminine is weak. Oh Lord, I grew up in Texas. I feel like we're made strong. We're born strong. I think being feminine, there's nothing weak about it. I mean, if anything, you can get your way more. You can use, you know, feminine qualities to override it, like anybody's ego. I believe. I feel like feminine, like all women have feminine qualities, even men, you know. But I think those are the inspirational ones. I think those are the ones to not neglect. I mean, I'm definitely I don't know. I just feel like we, as a brand, for us, like it's all women, and it's like 10 of us. And we've all, like, since the very beginning, since 2005, we've only had these 10. And, you know, like we brought on board my sister Ashley's best friend. We brought on board, you know, like someone I babysat growing up. My dance teacher growing up is my mom's partner. You know what I mean? So we're family. We're women-led brand, absolutely, and we stand up to men all the time, and we have to just kind of let comments roll off of our shoulders and stay in that power as a woman, because I feel like intuitively women are loud.
Do you feel like, is there any advice that you would have for somebody who struggles with that, to be in a room with men with suits and to stand up and stand in their own power?
Ooh, that's happened many a times for me. I mean, wear a suit if you need to make you more comfortable, with a good pair of platforms and like a good white tank. But like for me, how do you, grabbing attention in meetings, it's really like when you're just sitting there and you're like hearing everybody talk, and it's one of those things like, okay, everybody's talking about what I should be doing, and it's like as if I'm not in the room. But I think it's really just to speak up, to make sure you do have a voice, even like I always play devil's advocate. I love playing devil's advocate, and my husband hates it. But in every fight, even if I don't even mean it, I play devil's advocate. But like just anything to like grab attention. You don't have to do it with your looks by any means, but I think that doing it by giving like a really powerful, or you know what, like greeting everybody with a hug instead of a handshake really makes them uncomfortable. I will say, I'm always like, I'm from Texas, that's what we do, you know, so that automatically makes them feel like, oh, this is going to go differently than something super professional. But you can also be very professional and friendly, you know.
Yeah. Another question that came in, Jessica, is what is your favorite product that you've ever released?
We have a shoe called the Danny, and I even wore it on the boat in Austin. I love the Danny. I don't know why, but it's so comfortable for me. And we've had that shoe since the beginning, and we just recolor it, you know, do different fabrics, prints. But that shoe stays in the line for sure.
Yeah. Another question that came in is, if you could go back in time, would you still have made the decision to license your name out, or would you have done things differently?
Well, I think that was probably one of my best mistakes, because I realized that, you know, being with a company, they were using my name for their gain and for themselves. And then I realized the power of my name. Like they were using my name to get all other, you know, grow their business. And I'm like, wait a second, but what about growing my business? Like, but it was not even about that. It was just about my name. And so I don't regret that, because I learned really the power that I have to do things on my own and the power that my name can generate, you know? So I would think that, I mean, yeah, it wasn't fun for a while, but over the last year, owning it has been one of the best, you know, I just feel like I'm born again. I actually like got my name.
Wow.
You know? Yeah.
Well, and I think it's such a powerful story so many people are familiar with, which is you going out there and you buying back your brand, buying back your name. What some people might not realize.
It still is. Like, I'm still sitting in a risk. Like, I'm not out to say that I'm like it's the most successful thing I've ever done. You know, I have debt to pay back. There's, you know, we have stuff to meet. We have, you know, we're always looking at that. We're like, how can we turn around quicker than, you know, they're expected on this loan and whatnot. But like I liquidated my stocks. I borrowed against my home. There was nothing that was going to stop me from buying my brand back. And nobody, like even people that had been with me from the very beginning for years, just be safe. They're like, be safe. Like, why would you want to do this? Like, don't you want your kids to still go to private school? Like, don't you want, I was like, no, we'll move to Texas. Like, I honestly, like, nothing was going to stop me. And those people, I had to let go because they didn't believe in the power of what I wanted to do. And they didn't, it's like, it's so weird when people get so fearful, like in a moment. And like, you know, and it's like, but I'm the one that should be afraid if there is fear, you know, like I promise you all will get your percentage and get your money. And, you know, it's just like, you gotta have faith. And like, you gotta know that when I do follow my gut and when I am inspired, when I'm inspired to like own myself, that's when you do want to get on the bus. You know, that's when you do want to hop on the train, even if it's the little engine that could. I mean, we'll end up being, you know, better than we've ever been. And it's just about having, for me, like I really learned a lot about having determined patience. And, you know, like patience is so hard. It's so hard for people because and everything's so fast now, you know, like you can have a question and Google it and find answers in like every which way, or like anything, you know, like everything's so quick now that you want success and things to happen so fast. But I think that if you just remain and knowing that success is going to happen, that determination, doing anything that will get you there, that doesn't, you know, obviously that doesn't go against who you are as a person, and your morals and your values, but like doing, you know, anything just to stay determined and stay in the game, stay in the, because it's not like stay in the fight. Like if you do have to fight off people, know that you're fighting for yourself, you know, and I'm fighting for the future of my family. But yeah, I think that having patience within determination is a really beautiful thing, because it's not a standstill. You know, you're manifesting, you're writing it down every day. Like for me, like I love to journal, and it's like, okay, my intentions, you know, what are my intentions today? What am I going to manifest? What do I want? What do I need? What am I grateful for? You know, like I think about all those things, and I know that with determined patience, the end results are beautiful. And this was one for me that, like, owning the brand for me was a no-brainer. And literally, I think everybody, you know, in their New York offices were like, what in the world is she doing? Like, why is she doing this? And I'm just like, you'll see. You know, I can't really answer it, but if you don't have faith in it, you're gone, you know?
Yeah. And would you feel like that faith, that the sense of believing that you're talking about, where did it come from? Did it come from looking at the numbers? Did it come from feeling it in your heart? Like a combination of both?
My faith in myself is coming from everything I know is possible, that I can do, that I have done. And, you know, I grew up as a preacher's kid. And so my dad was always like motivational, inspirational, you know, and creative. And my mom was always so good at like following through, not letting ideas slip. You know, like staying in and on top of things. And I think just growing up being prayerful and always doing a self-examination, like moral self-examination, knowing that you're right within yourself, that nothing feels off, you can hear your faith a lot louder. And, you know, you have the voices of insecurity always, but those voices of faith and intuition for me are prominent and very loud. And those are the voices that I follow. And I know that even if I make a bad choice, if I make a wrong decision or a bad choice, it's gonna be okay, and I won't know why until it's okay. And then I am grateful that I made that choice, you know, but it feels bad in the moment. But once you get to your future self, you think back like, whoa, I'm so glad that happened. I'm so glad I made that choice, you know?
Yeah.
So I think we can't let that hold us back from what our future is. Like if we make a bad choice or bad decision, or we're like, crap, why did I do that, you know? And then you end up not doing anything the next time. You're going nowhere fast.
Yeah, someone the other day told me the difference between tragic and ultimately tragic. There are things that are tragic in the short term, but they're not ultimately tragic over time. I love that. So we've had so many questions coming in about your music, and I just want to make sure I get to some of these. So one of them is, are you planning on releasing new music soon? Maybe a new album?
I do. That's another thing. Like for me, like with my country record, which is the last like album that I put out other than a Christmas record that was independent, but with my country album of 2008, it was number one on the country charts, and I get dropped by Sony. All of a sudden, I was defined my whole life by a record deal, because at 14 I had one, at 17 I had one, you know, and then until I was 28. And because I wouldn't sign the 360 deal, the labels were doing 360, and they would have owned my brand. That would really have been a bad decision. Like,
what is
it,
the
like, it was
deal?
a disappointment. Like, I got dropped. Like, whoa, did I ever, like, I like, that was painful for me. The fact that I could have a number one album and them still say that I will never make the money to recoup what I've done in the past, and I've sold 35 million records. Like, the music business doesn't really make sense to me. Singing makes sense. So the way that I'm going to be doing it, the way I introduced some of it was through Open Book, since I own my name and my publishing and all of my music. Now, not what was done with Sony, but from anything 2008 on. Since I own that, like, you know, I was able to be like with HarperCollins with Open Book, I was able to be like, I have like 5 songs we should put on the audiobook. And they're like, really? Like, because it's not been done before. I think Bruce Springsteen had put 1 song on before. And I was like, I mean, because most people don't own the rights to their songs, you know? So we did that, and that was great. And I want that to be, yeah, that'll definitely be up on Spotify, and we'll do some YouTube stuff with that. And I have a lot of songs that I have recorded. That's really like the heart of who I am. Like, more than talking, like, singing is my way of communication. And it's the way to really tap into my heart and my soul. But I'm in the process right now of like casting and doing all this stuff for a TV show. So there is music within that I've been creating. It just had to be like tight-lipped about it, which has been, but it's soon. Well, I don't know why haven't we made an announcement? Because I look over and it's like this.
Well, Jessica, how do you
I definitely will be singing, and you'll see it on TV too.
How do you balance it all? I mean, you are singing, you are creating this new TV show, you're running this business, you're a mother of 3. How do you make it all work?
Well, the good thing is that my kids love all of it. It's not like, oh, mom has to work, you know, like, I've really involved them. Like, Maxwell loves animals, and I'm like, let's do like a pet line. And I was like, Max, you come up, because she's great at drawing, and she picks color palettes. She draws, I mean, she wants rabbit clothes and bunny, like all kinds of stuff. Like, we just got a chinchilla. That thing is so cute. It's named Chili con Carne. But we have so many animals, but she designs so great, and it's so cute, and she is unreal on TikTok. Like, that girl can edit better than most. It's shocking. Like, so I always go to Maxwell for advice, and I feel like she's way more on trend than I am. So you know, she has done the pet line and stuff, so that's cute. And Birdie will tell me if something's uncomfortable. You know, and then, you know, Ace gets it. Like, he doesn't love to, like, if I have to do like an Instagram or something, he doesn't love to be in the pictures, but he does it. But they like to come down in the studio when I'm singing. And I started doing that when I was pregnant with Birdie, so that they loved being a part of that, and they like, so I involved them. You know, I was sad when Maxwell got to go to her first concert. Who did she go? Oh, Olivia Rodrigo. She went to.
Cool.
Selena Gomez was her babysitter. So she went with Selena because she met one of a really good friend with Selena Gomez's little sister. And so, you know, Max got to go to her first concert. Well, she had seen me perform with Willie Nelson before, but I was like, oh, I always thought it was going to be me as her first concert, but gotta let the girl, she's 10 years old. She's got to see a live show. So thank you, Olivia Rodrigo, for that show. And thank you, Sam, for being a great babysitter.
Yeah, because you get the advice oftentimes when we think about sort of balance. Oftentimes people will say, hey, you have to compartmentalize, right? You have to have your one world here, you have to have the world here. No, sounds like you're kind of bringing them all together.
Yeah, I think don't overthink it. I think it has to be something that's natural, and like it doesn't have to be separate. Like I know my kids like it when I bring them in on ideas or ask their advice around the family, like around dinner at the table, you know, like, or ask, you know, what colors they like together. Like they know that they're a part of it. So I think inviting a family into it is a good thing. But listen, I'm a family business, so that's all I really know. But yeah, that's the way that I can do it and balance it out. Like they understand that it's work, even if I'm in the other room, like not too far from them, and they hear me doing like vocal exercises, or they see me on my phone, they know that I'm not just like scrolling through Instagram. I'm on Pinterest looking up like what I think should be trending, you know, and I'm pinning stuff for the girls to look at to send to our designers, you know. So they know that I'm always like, work doesn't take me away from them. Like we can all be together while I do it. But when it does, I mean, and it will for sure, especially once I start shooting. But I'll just bring them up on set, you know.
I love that.
I think making them a part of it and making them a part of the decisions, and like it gives them fun power, you know.
Yeah. You know,
they also have better ideas.
Well, we had some questions about that exactly, which is really having a family business, because you know, one of the things that we hear often is like, gosh, the stakes are so high. If you disagree on business decisions, well, that could get in the way of family. And so some people are hesitant to start businesses with family. What's your take on that, and how have you made it all work?
I mean, I feel like my family is who I trust the most. But I come from like I said, we're all very creative. But you know, my mom is great on the business end. You know, my dad was always my manager, so I mean, I understand like when I had to let him go because I wasn't doing music anymore. At the time, like I had to let him go. Like my parents went through a divorce, and it was a lot, you know, and I had to put the brakes on my career for my mental health, and I wanted to have babies and focus on building my own family. But yeah, I mean, you're always gonna like butt heads with, you know, your mom or dad or whoever you're going into business with. If I was going into business with Ash, we might have different ideas. But I think listening is important. Listening to the ideas, not letting people make the decisions for you, is very important. That way you don't feel like they're like, oh, my mom or dad made me do it. Like, you don't want to feel like that because it's you. And I just think that those type of, I mean, my mom and I can talk about everything, but it all ends up somehow business is always within it, but it also blends in with like, you know, inspirational talks. Cause my mom is like one of my bestest friends in the world. So, but yeah, I mean, there are things that we disagree on, you know. Who wins those? Ugh. I want to say my mom. No, not all the time. I mean, she'll listen if I'm really passionate about something, and she knows that my intuition is strong, but her intuition is very strong too. So of course, there's butting heads, but in the end, it's worth it because her gain is my gain, my gain is her gain, and we're on the same team and we have the same goal. You know, it's like we're not out to get each other or one up each other. It's not competitive like that, at least not in my family.
So, Jessica, when I read your books, I listen to you speak. one of the things that kind of comes clear to me is that it really feels like you've gone on this journey to figure out who you are, and you've found that. And I think so many people, especially entrepreneurs right now, are on that journey themselves. And what is your advice for somebody who's really trying to figure out who am
I? Well, if you're asking yourself that question, that's the first thing that you need to figure out. And it might take time. But for me, like having conversations with myself are so important. And that's what I do through writing. Like I even like light candles in the morning just to like start my day off right and centered and prayerful and mindful. And then I do write in my journal. I know that I'm not being myself if I procrastinate and put off writing in my journal, because there's something about me that I'm not wanting to understand fully on purpose. But those are the breakthroughs. And when you do write letters to yourself, talk to yourself. I just think that relationship is the most important relationship you can have in business. That's your partner, yourself. That's who you have to make nice with. That's who you have to trust. That's who you have to really understand. And the only way to understand that is like, and if people need like guidebooks, like I feel like there's a lot of stuff out there, like just questions, like a question of the day, answer it about yourself, and you'll be shocked that it might actually be really inspiring because it's honest. We can't hide from ourselves. So I do think that we can try, but we're miserable, or then we go into like a secluded, lonely place. And I feel like in business, you can't be that way. You have to know it, to own it, to grow it, and success is being happy with that person inside. And like success, there is no like formula to success, but I can tell you that being yourself and following through with your own personal daily goals or a daily routine, that sets you up for like a very wealthy spirit. And in return, I feel like a lot comes in. You gain a lot from understanding the good, the bad, the ugly, the sad, the great, all of it. And that's why going back on my journals, writing Open Book was epic for me. It was so transformative to go back to my younger self and know that like I'm still her. Wow. And like finding those pieces of myself that I still have, and I'm like, whoa, that younger self just inspired me, looking back on those journals, like I'm my own self-help book because wow. I know how I'm wired. I know how I think, like when I'm insecure, like, when I was younger, like if I was, beating myself up, I'd write it down, I think there's nothing to be ashamed of. And people walk around with a lot of shame.
Yeah. And when you look back on those journals,
the only way that you can have shame is if somebody has told you that that's not the way you should be.
Yeah.
And only you know that. Nobody else can tell you.
When you look back on those journals, Jessica, what's the biggest change you notice in yourself today from the younger version of yourself back then?
What's the I don't know. It's really similar, to be honest. Like I feel like I was like, wait, I was only 15 when I wrote that. Oh. Wow. Let me see. What has changed? Well, I used to, like when I was younger, I would have like a list of like a prayer list, you know, of everybody, like everybody's names and why I wanted to pray for them and that type of thing, to not write about myself. And I noticed those days, like, were the next journal entry, like I finally approached myself instead of like just going through everybody else and their problems and praying for them. You know, then I would read the next page and it'd be like, I'm like pinching my stomach fat and giving myself bruises because I can't look in the mirror, and it was something that I needed to face. So like, I'm less like that. I mean, I do pray for people, but I don't do it as like a tactic to not understand what I'm going through or face what I'm going through.
Yeah. Well, we have time for one final question, and I really want to hand it to you. Do you have any final advice for us as we go out into the world and try to achieve and be the people that we can possibly be? What advice do you have for us?
There's all kinds of ways to be in the business, to stay in the business, to own a business. But like I said earlier, I really believe it's so important to remain determined, remain patient, never let go of something that seems too far out of reach, too wild, like too, you know, too much of a success, because you deserve it if you dreamt it. And it, you know, I do believe that if we put our minds to it, and it's our minds, and if we put our hearts into something, that we will all succeed. And it's hard to not listen to everybody else's opinions, but the most important opinion there is the one you have of yourself. So remain self-confident within setbacks, and know that you're going to be like catapulted forward at some point. And I always, like, as a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut because I would dream of being up in the moon and the stars. Like, I mean, I'm a dreamer. And I, you know, have recently like felt myself like catapulted into the galaxies and hanging out there. And it's a good place to be. I'm about to be 42 in a couple days, and I'm finally like there, like, but I have a lot to do to stay. Wow. And to grow, and to, you know, to keep traveling back and forth. You know, I think there's no problem. There isn't a failure that's too great to make success impossible.
Well, Jessica, well, thank you for joining us, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for another episode of Office Hours. We will be back on Wednesday for another episode. In the meantime, you can always check out more interviews like this on AmericanExpress.com/business class, or you can check us out on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And Jessica, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
And sorry about Penny barking.
No, not at all. I wanted. See ya. Bye.
I know it was on, apparently. Bye.
Bye.